That's one thing in R&D that people don't really appreciate on the outside, is how many projects are behind the final project.
Hello, my name is Chad McLean. Welcome to the first episode of Designing with Intent. I'm joined by two guys, none other, in my opinion, to work with here. I've learned so much from them. Two of the best bowlers also, by the way, I've ever met in my life, Alex Hoskins and Giorgio Clinaz. So we are kind of the design team here at Storm. And really, so we're going to talk about the design intent behind some of the balls that we make and some of the future releases, maybe some nods towards what's coming down the road. So Alex, where does the entire process even begin with the ball? How long does it take?
Yeah, so we're usually, we have monthly kind of ball planning meetings, and we usually try and kind of forecast for a year or even 2 years into the future, and we look at kind of what the market is currently, what balls are popular, what about those bowling balls make those balls popular. We'll try different combinations of weight blocks. We obviously create new weight blocks. There's a lot that goes into weight block design, but the real magic is really matching up that weight block to the cover stock material. So trying to get that balance and then have it also fit in to the line with what we currently have is really the big challenge in designing everything.
Sure, and it's not just one line, it's 3 lines now.
Yeah,
we've brought global in-house.
Yep, and that really has been a difficult hurdle to kind of overcome, as you have more brands now and you have to keep that brand separation between the 3, but yet keep enough different reactions in each of those 3 brands without overlapping to still create, something if somebody wants to follow one specific brand specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just came from a meeting just before this video was shot with Shlem and Steve and Kabansky, trying to figure out where some of the newer stuff is going to fall in with the RGs and what we need to build and stuff like that. So does it start with a weight block, or does it start with the cover stock or a name? What comes first?
Yeah, it kind of, we're always looking at new weight blocks and kind of coming up with new designs, myself and Hank Boomershine. Just, you'll see something, or just, while you're sleeping, you'll be like, oh my gosh, like this would be a really cool idea. Can we make this happen? And see what the RGs and diffs are. So it almost always starts with a weight block. And then from there, it's like, okay, how do these RGs and diffs, what cover stock might match up best around that? And a lot of people think that it's really easy to just throw, A, B, or C on there and, oh, it'll be good. But there's actually a lot that goes into it. And we have a lot of different additives that, either enhance friction or inhibit friction a little bit. And that really, dialing that in to make that perfect marriage of cover stock and weight block is really the beauty of R&D. And that's where testing, when we'll talk to Gio here a little bit, having a few different testers and some different styles, throw it on some different patterns is really important to make sure that it's going to work for a lot of different styles of play.
Mm-hmm. So Gio, in a couple sentences or less, can you describe what you do here at Storm?
I work in R&D, and I'm the one who tests bowling balls at the same time that I finish the bowling balls, test balls in general.
But you also make them, right?
Yes. I have been throughout the whole process. We're a team in the lab, so it would not be myself.
Sure.
But yes, I started in the R&D since the moment to start making weight blocks and cores, to pouring bowling balls, to finishing and engraving them and cutting them, the whole process.
All the above. But you did that at Global too, right? Before you came?
No, actually in Global I was more in the sales and marketing department. I was not in R&D ever onto a move to Storm.
So Gio, when you're making the balls in the lab with the team, and then you're actually the one out here throwing them and testing them in front of everybody, what's some of the feedback that you give the guys when you're looking for a ball that could be the new hotness?
Usually we go into the test as blind test. We have no pins.
No idea what the ball is.
No idea what's the combination. Core-wise, cover stock-wise, I try to keep it as unbiased as possible.
So he's not telling you anything.
He's not telling me anything. Exactly.
Right.
He's always asking, but he never gets it.
How about the pattern? Do you know the pattern you're bowling on?
Yes, we always test it on a 41 feet pattern. It's beaten path. That's the test pattern that we always use. So we have we test it with the same data in a way, same pattern, same idea, how much they break down, how much they don't break down, how much the ball is hooking. If it's a cleaner type of bowling ball that hooks more down the lane, if it's earlier, And I give him my feedback as this is what I feel that the ball is doing. I can compare it with another bowling ball that we have in the line currently, and I do give him feedback with that. And after that aspect, after the test, that he tells me this is what we're trying to intend, this is the intention behind the project, what do you feel about it? And I give him my feedback. Other testers also give him their feedback. We all both different, so that's the idea of it. And once we have that result, then he goes into puts the numbers in, and if it's something that we can pursue, or is there is some something different we can do to that bowling ball to make it better.
Kind of tweak it in little ways.
Yes.
So you have different additives and things that you can add into the cover stocks. Will you change the densities of some of these weight blocks? And
Also, yeah,
and parts
mostly
inside?
like when we those additives are also mostly for cover stock to make it
Yes.
inhibit or to make it like hook more, for example. But we can also change densities within the weight block to change the numbers, RGs and differentials to make it more, to roll more towards what we want to see.
So you can dial in pretty much anything you want to about the ball to make
Anything
that
and
marriage
everything.
between the cover and the core
Totally.
match up.
That's why we do so much testing, because we have so many different combinations that we can make that we have to really test them to make sure that that's what we're looking for.
Yep. Is there ever a ball that you throw that you know is awesome right off the bat? And the inverse question to that, is there ever a ball that you know is just not going to be
I personally
good?
have told him completely. It's like, this is something that I love, something that for my game, it's exactly, but then you see somebody like Kendall Miles throwing it, and it rolls not as good for him. So the idea is when we try to come up with that combination is to bring up to the market a bowling ball that's going to roll good for the masses, for everybody, not just for one type of game.
Roger.
And I do think that's one thing in R&D that people don't really appreciate on the outside is how many projects are behind the final project.
Right.
You know, you have the final ball that the public gets to see and throw and everything, but behind that, man, there was, 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes double digits attempts of trying to get it to that ball that actually pleases the masses.
Gio, has there ever been a ball that you tested that you saw after all the versions that you've done on it come to fruition and it be a successful ball in any of the lines?
Yeah, actually, multiple of them.
What's been your favorite ball that you've tested that became an actual ball?
I would say Exponent. Exponent
Exponent.
is a bowling ball that we tested, and it seemed to be a benchmark type of bowling ball that was actually different to what we have presented before. And I thought it was very unique. And using this type of cover stock, I think that gives the market a very unique type of shape
So
that
usually
we haven't had before.
So that's a cleaner cover, right?
That's a cleaner cover.
It's not like a
More-
nano-based or anything like that. It's pretty, doesn't get offline too quickly, right?
Yeah, it stays in line a little bit more, shapes a bit more down the lane, but still within the realm of the benchmark,
Sure.
smooth type of bowling ball. Yeah.
Alex, same question. What has been your favorite ball that you've tested?
So for me, just on the inside of everything, the Summit has actually been probably one of my favorite ones, just because we finally got to this AI technology, and it had kind of been internally this could happen in the future at some point if we can get it to work and get it to do the thing that we want it to do on the lanes. And I mean, it was a multi-year process to get that finally implemented into a ball, and then to see, so many people having success with how much better the ball goes through the pins and everything, that's been really exciting to watch.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember back to like early R&D notes. It was 2016, I think, when I first saw the early prototypes for the faceted.
Yeah.
Long time ago. So
Yeah.
it's been 7 years since then. So these
Yeah.
balls can take a long time.
Yeah.
When you're making a bowling ball, when you're doing a project, a new bowling ball, how do you decide which colors? What's the name? How do you decide all that?
Well, I pull up the website, is the first thing I usually do, and I make my screen images really, really small, and then I make every ball next to each other. So I look and see, and I kind of get a visual map of what there is and what's kind of needed. And if I need to, I'll do tally marks of how many colors have been used and what hasn't been used in a long time. Try and make something that looks good. I work closely with Schlim and Matt Kabansky, the brand managers of Global and Roto, to make sure we're not making the same colors. So we talk all the time about that. And then there's also just standard shelf appeal. Like we know that globals, we kind of have a color scheme for globals, and we kind of have a color scheme for rotogrip. Like you can kind of tell what a storm ball looks like, you can kind of tell what a rotogrip ball looks like without having a rotogrip logo on it. You guys know, you pour them. So we try to fill in the gaps with the colors. We're looking at what's needed, what hasn't been used in a long time. We also kind of look at how it's going to roll down the lane, not just how it looks on the wall. Because if it's a tour edition type ball, we don't want it to be too flashy. You want to get a pretty good read on it, like a solid or kind of more subtle tones, and not these high highs and low lows and these massive amounts of contrast where the ball is just kind of messing with you and how it spins down the lane. So we look at that, and then other balls, you kind of want that to happen. You kind of want to see the contrast because different folks like seeing that.
You make the colors, right? You pick the colors. We're going to pick the colors for a bowling ball. How do you pick the name? Or like what comes first? Is it the name and then the colors, or is the name based on the colors?
Well, when we have the meetings, we are throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall to see what sticks. And if something sticks early, great. So sometimes, the names can beat the colors to the punch. And then other times, we know what colors we're going to make because this was an old color sample from a long time ago, and we've been sitting on it for a long time. We want to use it finally. So it varies. It varies. Names can come from anywhere. I love suggestions from anyone. When you think about it, we kind of aim for about 24 balls a year, catalog releases. But internationally, like there's a whole nother 80 a year, basically. So you're constantly coming up with new names and trying to find inspiration from things from anywhere.
So you also name international bowling balls?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. Nice.
That's really another side, I think, of R&D and ball design as a whole is, everybody in the U.S. at least sees the, 2024 catalog releases every year. But like you just said, we've got another, 80-ish SKUs behind it that, is a full development for us as a team. Yep. The ball's got to get made. All the names and colors have to be decided on. All the weight blocks and everything have to come together, and it adds up to a lot of effort from all of us.
All the samples ahead of time, all the samples that go to USBC.
Yep.
Sometimes it's one, most of the time it's two. And other times, if the balls kind of encroach like thresholds of that the USBC puts forth with oil absorption and differential, you could have to send up to 32 samples just to get one
international
ball
samples
approved.
also.
Even it goes for international too. Yeah. So you guys stay busy, mad props.
What are one of the names that you're the most proud of that you have put in a bowling ball?
I got to meet Neil deGrasse Tyson one time. He won't remember me. I'm nobody to him. But I was a fan of what he was talking about and what he was lecturing in Salt Lake that night. And he's a professor of astrophysics. So we needed another name for the physics, which Schlim supplied us the first name. Thanks, Schlim, for the physics name. But we needed a follow-up to that, so the Pearl one became the astrophysics because the time that had some gravity for me. So
there you go. That's awesome. I didn't know that, actually.
Well, guys, thanks for joining me. This has been a pleasure and an honor as always. We're going to do this more often with, I think, with more specific balls in the future. So we're going to learn kind of the story and the progression that you talked about with, the days and months and years leading up to some of these new releases. So thanks for watching. Tune in next time and bowl up a storm.
Thank you.
You said don't look at the camera. Gio's like...
Yeah, you have to use that one.